Welcome to Small Talk with Lila Hart. That's me.
Hi, I'm Niles Absent, and this has been episode 19 of Small Talk
With Lila Hart.
with Lila Hart. This is a good show. Y'all better watch this. It's a good show. Small Talk with Lila Hart. Only on Channel 3. No.
Should I start standing up and then have a seat?
Okay, but you have to so if you stand up completely erect, you're going to you're going to be slightly
Completely erect. How the fuck would I stand up completely erect ever?
Right.
I mean, when you stand up completely erect, what the heck are you talking about? Welcome to Small Talk. Hi guys, I'm Lila Hart, your host of Small Talk, here filmed at Channel 310 Studios. On today's episode, we have my dear friend Niles Absent, who also happens to be one of the co-founders of Channel 310 with Eric Avenante. Do you guys like this? Is this good? Sounds good? Eric, can you help me? It's summer, so it's sunny and it's hot outside, and your girl likes to lay by the pool. So I'll be doing a lot of that stuff. That's why my episodes have been a little bit late, because I'll be chilling at the Roosevelt Hotel, just swimming and splashing around with my friends and shit, but I'm back here on the show. Eric, are we gonna be able to hear all that
That's why
noises?
Why I asked.
We're in Hollywood, y'all, so there's ambulances and cop cars that be rolling by, because things get a little rowdy out here sometimes. I don't know what's happening out there. My guest is Niles Absent. He is a stand-up comedian, like I said, who happens to be the co-host of Channel... God, Eric, call me.
Co-founder was perfect. First time you
Okay.
said it. 3, 2, 1.
Niles Absent is the co-creator of Channel 310, and he also has his own show, which is called Secret Black People Meeting. And, I met Niles a few years ago. Actually, I don't know. I think I met him doing Small Talk. My brain's not working, Eric.
Just ask him how you met him.
Okay. I feel like I should do some sort of monologue or something. We gotta do some writing, because I gotta talk about some stuff.
Why don't you talk about the last night good time Davey Wayne's with Arthur?
Anyways, I'm gonna have my guest on so I can just start asking him some questions. Are you guys excited to get this episode started? Welcome, Niles, to
What's up?
Small Talk.
Hey, what's up?
I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to have
so
you.
excited. I mean, I've watched the show so many times, and I've been here when you do it, so now I'm on it.
Yeah, but you were Niles was actually on the first episode pilot.
I was in and out a little bit.
That was back in January, so.
Wow.
Now we're here in the summer.
That's a long time ago.
I know, but it's been great.
Yeah. How are you?
So I'm doing really good. But so Niles is a 23-year-old stand-up comedian, which I think is great because 23 is my favorite number, as you can see on my backpack. Funny story about this backpack. I had this girl DM me, and she was like, "So Lila, I see in your stand-up comedy you always be wearing your backpack on stage. Is that part of your skit, or is that your bag?" And I was like, "Girl, this is my bag. You know what I mean? I gotta bring my backpack on stage with me. I gotta bring it everywhere with me." But I put that patch on there for 23 because it is my lucky number.
What's your lucky number?
Because I just started seeing 23 around all the time, so now I just associate it if I hear the number 23 or see it anywhere and whatever I'm thinking at the time, that means it's gonna happen. So I just
think about me winning the lottery, nigga. That lease is coming up. So
you're from Mississippi, right? Yes. Is that where you grew up?
Born, grew up, oppressed, everything. It's great.
And you went to school out there?
I went to high school out there, and I went to college in Oklahoma. Why? I don't know, but I did. So now I'm here.
And how long have you been out in Los Angeles?
I've been here since January 2016. I got here, my dad's birthday is January 7th, and that's the day we came out.
Oh my God, we've been out here the the same time. I've been in LA since January of 2016, but I've lived in California for the last like 6 years.
Okay.
But LA was January of 2016, and then I started comedy in February of 2016.
That's when I got here. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, and you came out here by yourself?
No, I flew out here with my dad.
Okay, what made you decide to come out to LA?
I got an internship at a production company, and then I did film school for a semester out here in LA. And then I realized, like, I can do this, so I just dropped out.
And you decided to stand up?
Yep. That's like right before I dropped out is when I started doing stand-up. So, yeah, I guess I blame stand-up for me not going back to college.
When did you like realize that stand-up was what you wanted to do?
I think, like, it definitely wasn't, like, the first time I did it, but I got booked on a show, and I remember, like, it went, like, really well, and I did, like, 3 minutes, and I just remember, like, if I did this, like, not really, like, you know, working on it and just messing around, like, what could I really do with this if I worked at it?
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I'm gonna just work at it and see where it goes, and it's been, like, over 2 years of stand-up now, and just, I love it, so.
And you have your show?
I do. Super Black People Meeting. That's been really fun because, like, I've always, like, I love Jon Stewart, and, like, I just love how he hosts. He would host the show, but, like, it was funny, but it also talked about stuff that was, like, really going on and everything. And I thought that was just so important because there's just so much bullshit on TV. And so, like, I wanted to kind of do that mixed with, like, what Chris Rock did on HBO. He had the Chris Rock show. So, like, it's just really fun. Like, every week just writing new jokes with Eric and, like, talking about stuff with people. Yeah, so I like it. Yeah.
It was like creating your own content.
Yeah.
Your own brand.
Yeah, you can just like, it's so cool having your own show. Like, you know, like you can talk about whatever you want to talk about and bring on like these awesome talented people, and just like magic just happens. You know, like a lot of the moments we don't even like these candid moments that we just have on the internet. I think are gonna be great to look back at. Yeah.
What do you think has been like the challenge of starting comedy for you?
I think developing an attitude where like you can't care what people think, and just kind of like getting out of that comfort zone, because like stand up for me, like I really did it to get better at writing, because I came out here to write originally, and so like I was like, oh, this could make me a better writer, and so that's why I wanted to do it. But I think also just like the performing aspect really helped me to get out of my comfort zone. Like I say like all the time, like I'm not scared of anything. Like I perform stand up comedy in front of like 2 people at 2 a.m. at night. Like I'm not. That's the hardest thing in the world, you know? So, like, I think stand-up has really done a great job of just, like, kind of, like, eliminating fear and risk-taking in my life in a way.
Well, so you said you love the performance aspect of it.
Yeah.
Do you think that being a collegiate athlete
For
helped
sure.
you in stand-up?
For
Can you
sure.
talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, because, like, being an athlete is just, you have to be competitive at all times, whether it's, like, against somebody or yourself. Like I ran track, so a lot of the things you do is by yourself, and, like, you're your biggest competition because you want to outdo yourself, which you did like last week. And so like I think I kind of look at stand up like as that as well, because like I remember in college, like we would have to go on these long ass road trips. Like we were in Oklahoma and we rode on a bus from Oklahoma to Lincoln, Nebraska for a track meet at University of Nebraska. 14-hour drive. And I was just like, if I get to this meet, I'll be damned if I run slow. I sat on this bus for 14 hours, had to go all the way to Nebraska in the middle of nowhere, like I'm gonna do this. And I remember like telling Chaz that like we went to a sail on Oceanside in 2 hours, and I was like, I'm gonna kill this shit. And he was like, why you say that? Because I drove all 2 hours out here for this. Like that's a waste of time to drive 2 hours there and 2 hours there to have an okay show. I was like, I'm about to kill this, and I did. And so, you know, it's just like I definitely look at it because like I kind of like I don't really care about like what everybody else is doing, but I really like to outdo myself.
Absolutely.
And so I think that definitely has a lot to do with my like athletic background.
So you ran track in college?
Yeah, I did.
And what happened there?
What she's saying is, so why aren't you on TV or have a Nike deal, Niles? What
Exactly. What happened?
Man, injuries. Injuries is one of those things where, like, as an athlete, you see it happen to everybody else, but for some reason you never think it's going to happen to you. I don't know why injuries work like that, but yeah, I had some really bad injuries, like, during my freshman season, so I never really even got to run that much. And so like so it turns out I had a hip bone that was irregularly shaped on my left side, and so they had to shave it down so my hip would fit in the socket and all that. And so because of my hip being like that, I had really bad hamstrings, and like my knees would hurt, and then my groin stretched and eventually tore. And so so that sucked. And it was weird because like I had never experienced really any injuries up to that point.
Oh, okay.
And so like, but I think It was definitely because like in high school I was just really good. So like I worked hard, but I was really good at the end of the day. Whereas in college, it's like you're working out 2 to 3 times a day. You know, you might not be getting that much sleep because of school as well. And so I think my body was getting pushed to its like limits to where finally my hip was like, hey, by the way, something's wrong with your hip. But like in high school, I never would have known.
So do you think that like injuring yourself, like getting an injury while you're running track in college, like how did that psychologically affect you being not able to do that anymore?
It was depressing. Like I went into a real deep depression. Like it sucked because I think like a lot of people that don't like if you never did sports or like sports wasn't really like I started playing sports at like maybe like 5 and then I started running track like in 8th grade and I was like I was really good at it. I won state a couple times, state championship like team wise and individually, and so it was one of those things where like it was like an adjective. Like if you like in my hometown, if you talk about Niles Ashton, like you're talking about track and field, you know. And so it just became like this thing that I was, and so to like
it's an identity.
Yeah, it was definitely an identity, like for sure. Like it's like I was a track athlete to the core. Like it's all I thought about, all I cared about is what I wanted. I wanted to succeed at that. So.
Come on, Niles. Come on. Come on, Niles.
So like when I got to school and things weren't going well and I was experiencing all these injuries, I was like, it was just so foreign to me because it was just always something I could just click and turn on and do it. Whatever I could do whatever I wanted to do. And so it was just weird. Like I don't know what it was with track in high school. Like literally I could just say in my head like I'm gonna do this and I just do it. Like I remember we had like a relay race and I think we were like in 4th or 5th in the 4x1 and like the 4x1 is not like that far. The catch speed was like it's only 100 meters. And so I remember telling myself I was like I'm gonna win this shit. Like I literally said it like right before when my teammates was on. I was like I'm gonna win this shit. And then I did. And like it was just track was just this cool thing where like I could like because I dealt with a lot of just mess at school and just being from Mississippi sucks, and so like track was like that one thing where it was like I could control everything.
Right, and so it's like that was like a huge part of your identity.
Right.
So losing that put you into a depression, and I feel like I can really relate to getting into like deep, dark depression. It's almost like going through that. You have like an awakening.
Yeah.
What do they call it? It's like the dark night of the soul, and then you come out of it and find comedy or find whatever it is that your passion is.
Right.
And it's like almost finding that passion becomes your new identity and it's necessary. You know, so like for me, like becoming a stand-up comedian, I was like, I could like breathe, like, okay, I know what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you relate on that experience?
Because it was like, it so happened because I was spending, I didn't get to go on any more of the road trips. And then like I wasn't practicing, I was just doing rehab on my hip and my hamstring, and I was doing physical therapy. So like I would have a lot more time on my hands, so I started writing. And so it wasn't comedy yet, but I had started writing like short stories, and then I was watching something, I was like, I'm gonna write a movie, and so like that's when I started like trying to write like short films and things like that. So that's how I started writing. I wasn't writing comedy yet, but I was writing just like TV and film type stuff, and I started doing that when I had like more time on my hands because I was hurt. So like it was like really like a blessing in disguise, you know. And it's like I'm glad now. Like I remember I was so angry and so upset when it did happen, but like now I'm glad it happened.
Right?
Yeah, it's
Isn't
weird.
that funny how
like you're glad
like
something
that?
bad happened, you know?
Right. It's so bizarre. Like when I got arrested and I was like I've talked about this in so many episodes. I was so depressed in my jail cell, like my life is over.
I can't picture you in jail cell.
Are you sure you can picture me in jail
I cannot
cell?
see
My ass is
you.
crazy.
That's hilarious.
But like when I was there, I was like, my life is over. It's
Yeah,
done.
I said that
it's
to myself.
done. I was like, if this gets out, it's over. Now I'm talking about it on my own show. Like,
Right.
yeah, I got arrested.
Right.
And it's almost like it is a blessing in disguise because getting to that lowest low of my life, it's like anytime I get upset about anything, I'm like, girl, you've been in jail before. You can do this.
No, I'm serious because like, so I had to get hip surgery, and like I was 20 getting hip surgery like that.
Oh my
It was
God.
terrible. And so my parents.
What's the
like,
recovery time for that?
Still, like it was supposed to be like 4 to 6 months, but like.
Were you unable to walk for a while?
Yeah, I was in a wheelchair for
Okay,
like
I
2
want
days.
to talk about this. So, in your 2-day experience, even though it was very short, being in that wheelchair, was it just like mind blowing to
Oh,
you?
I cried in my bed. Like
And it was 2 days.
it was 2 days.
Oh
I remember I had to still had to shower, and so like I was so helpless from the surgery. I had like my parents had to like help me bathe. I'm a 20-year-old man,
Right.
bigger than both my parents, and they like helped me bathe. And I remember my mom had to like help me out the tub, and like I hope I don't like tear up, but I remember like I started crying when she was like helping me get in the bed, and she was like, "Nah," I was like, "It's gonna be okay. Like this is like, oh fuck, wow."
It's okay.
She's like, "It's just like this is just a moment for like a little bit," and like it's crazy, but it was true. Like it felt like the worst thing in the world at the time because like I couldn't walk. I was the fastest person like in my like city and state for a little bit, and like now 2 years later I can't even walk. Like
Right?
that's it. It was horrible, man. And that was 3 years ago, and now I'm just like I'm so glad that happened to me because I learned a lot about myself, and I definitely learned to just like keep faith, you know.
Right. And
Yeah, so that was
do you
good.
feel like it kind of gives you more empathy towards other people that
Oh
are
my
going through
God,
stuff, especially in the
yes.
hospital or being in a wheelchair, having a disability?
Hospital, wheelchair. Like if I see somebody in a wheelchair, I just gotta give you a fist bump. I did that shit for 48 hours, and I was crying myself to sleep. So I can only imagine like people that are there all the time. Like,
Yeah.
ugh, I can't
Well,
imagine.
when I had my sister moved, I had to use a walker.
Yeah.
And I performed with that walker on
No, you
stage
didn't.
at a comedy show. Then the walker got stolen in the parking lot.
Of course it did.
Welcome to LA.
But you don't understand, like, this walker was so cute and little. And I used to have this one bit where I would say, you think I'm cute right now? Could you imagine me as a cute little old lady? And then I have the walker and I'd be like, see? I'm walking. See, I'm a cute little old lady. That's funny.
It's cute. Get it, girl.
You know, so
That's hilarious.
I made it funny, but I just remember like using this walker and like walking with it, and like there was a moment that I thought I was like, maybe I'm gonna always have to use this, you know, and like it was terrifying, but at the same time, it just kind of makes you like not take things for granted, you know?
Yeah.
And it's hard because you know life happens, but man, to be able to like share that experience and talk about it, it's healing.
Yeah.
And you could talk about that in your stand-up. It's like other people are going through some of these really, really hard times, like
Yeah.
going to jail or getting operations or losing to be able to walk, all these different things. And it's
Yeah.
like, as a comedian, it's their job to like share this stuff and put humor to it, and then the people can like laugh, and there's that release.
Mhm.
And it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I cried too. I cried because I couldn't take a shit for 2 weeks. I'm not joking.
Why?
Because
I know this.
I was on so many painkillers that they make you take, right?
Oh no.
So then I had this blockage, and I remember I was at home, I still had taken a shit, and I was like, I think we need to go to the ER. We'll go to the ER, I'm puking. I was like screaming like the exorcism in there. Like there was all these nurses and stuff around me. I was puking like a crazy person, and then they shot me up with something, and I finally like passed out. But when I pooped, it looked like a cow pie. Like in the
That is so nasty.
I've never been so happy in my life. The nurse and my mom watched me go in this bucket. I did not give no fucks at that point.
That's crazy.
You know?
Well, good for you. You went from not being able to shit for 2 weeks and just, you know, shitting in front of Central Casting in Burbank now.
Yeah,
you
doing
know?
all the shit.
You just
So,
shitting everywhere. I see.
right? It's just like, fuck it, we're all human.
We're all human. It happens.
So, your parents are in Mississippi,
Yes, they are.
and they're together.
They are.
How long have they been married?
Let's see. I think 28 years.
Yeah, my parents are 27 years.
Oh, that's what's up. Good for him.
So
Yeah.
you got brothers and sisters?
I have a little sister who's actually moving out here in August. She's going to school at Loyola Marymount.
Oh my gosh, what's she gonna be doing out there?
I think she's majoring in fine arts.
Okay.
So yeah, so she's gonna be holding a sign on the side of the highway in 3 years, basically. There's no jobs in fine arts. Like, let's be real. I don't know why my parents are like, oh, Neil's gonna do it. No, stop.
What do your parents do?
My mom is damn, she don't have no job right now. My mom used to be a professor, but she's like writing and doing that kind of thing.
Your mom, she could chill. She was a professor.
Yeah, she had me. I'm sure that was tough. And then my dad's a lawyer.
Wow. What was it like growing up with a father as a lawyer?
Oh, you don't win any arguments.
Oh, that would make a lot of
You don't
sense.
win. You don't win any arguments, but because you don't win any arguments with him, you win them with everybody else. It was like training. Like I could kill anybody in an argument because I'd argue with that nigga for my whole life. Like that was so it was like and so like I think I may have won an argument or two off of him, but this is definitely in the small.
Yeah, I feel like a good lawyer has to have that like art of communication.
Yeah,
stuff.
he's
So I
good.
feel
He's
like
good.
it makes a lot of sense that you're good at writing.
Yeah.
And became a comedian because it's we're not lawyers, but we are up there persuading some
No,
stories.
for sure. Like I definitely I feel like I'm like the anti version of my dad. Like I feel like comedy and like being an attorney has like a lot to do, and he writes a lot, and then I write like crazy stuff. So like I kind of do what he does, just in a bad way. So yeah, like comedy, because yeah, I definitely think like comedians have to like learn to communicate what's in their head to people they've never met before, and then lawyers have to do that, but they have to like persuade people, and we kind of have to persuade people to laugh. So it's kind of like the same thing. It's just you don't go to school for 8 years for it. You be homeless for 8 years before it. So yeah.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of different things that gets you to these points of stand up.
I done heard some crazy stories. I've been through some crazy stuff. Comedy is being a comedian in LA is.
What keeps you going though, even after you've gone through some hard times of like, because I've lived in my car while I was doing stuff out here in LA, like doing stand up. I've lived in my car.
Yeah.
I've I guess I've like technically been homeless, and I was like staying on friends' couch. And it's like, how do you get through the hard times in stand up and keep moving forward?
Because I'm about to probably go through one of these times, so let me say this to encourage myself. I think about like the past accomplishments, you know, it's like it reminds you, like those milestones reminds you like, hey, you can do this, like just keep going, you know. And then also like you guys definitely keep me motivated and stuff because I was like, I don't want to let them down. I want to, keep what we have going. So
Yeah, we got the Channel 310 team up in here.
Exactly. So yeah, so it's good to have like you get people like funny people like you guys around me to be like, oh well, they're going through hard stuff too, and I get to see you guys go through things, and so like I can laugh along with you and keep going. And so it's always good. I feel like in any profession that you're chasing your dream in, to have a good like cohort or accountability group like you guys are. So. Mm-hmm.
What would you say is a challenge, like being a 23-year-old stand-up comedian?
Nobody takes you seriously. Nobody takes you seriously. And it's like with me, like my comedy, I don't talk about bullshit. Like I talk about like real stuff that goes on. And so like people don't expect somebody my age to either like care about that stuff, know about it, or even talk about it. And so like I have to like get through that first. And so like a lot of people, they either don't take me seriously or like other comedians like that could maybe like do something or help me probably look at me like, oh, he's only 23, he'll be all right, he'll figure it out, because like I don't know. So it's interesting and like it's weird, like because like usually like coming up I was always like either one of the older people in a group or something like that, and so now that like no matter where I'm at, I'm always gonna be like the youngest person everywhere like I go. It's like it's been very interesting, but yeah, I definitely feel like no one will take you seriously if you're 23 and do comedy. Like you have to like just do great.
Well, I think that, the fact that you have your own talk show, Secret Black Comedian, and you're constantly writing, it's like when people come out and actually see you perform, I think they're really blown away and like are surprised to know that you are 23. Because anytime I've seen you, especially like in this last year, like of our friendship, like you really, really do. You're always trying out new shit, and I really like respect and admire that about you a lot. Like, it's really helped me in my own stand-up, like especially when we go to open mics, like work out new material, like every week. I'm like, I always want to say something different, because the crew's always doing that. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like you're, especially at Rogers mic, like we're always like riffing on each other. But like you especially, I've noticed like you'll take something in the news that's like really relevant and then turn it into a joke, and I like that a lot because I feel like you're educating people and talking about it, which brings me to my next question. Like, with your stand-up, like, what is your goal as far as what you're trying to communicate to the people?
What is the goal? Really, like, what I try to show in my stand-up is that the country we live in, America, has never really fixed any problems regarding race or poverty. What America does is they put Band-Aids on broken legs, and they never actually fix the problem at its root. And so like when you see things where you see this black kid getting shot by a police officer, you see people that can't pay their rent and all this kind of stuff because of prices that are going up in different cities that they lived in for 20, 30 years, and now it's getting gentrified. Nothing's being done to regulate this. It's because it's like it all starts at a root where like America has a racist inception and nobody's ever wanted to fix that. And so like with my comedy, I really like to just kind of show people the background behind things like this happened, and that's why this still happens in 2018. And when you can put those parallels together, you're like, oh shit, this is happening because we never nipped this in the bud. And so that's really just my message. I just want to like show people like why things today happen. Moment and honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. for his service. He did some amazing things, and unfortunately, he's become taken for granted in our society. He's been taken for granted so much that people that don't represent anything that he has to represent can use his name without conviction. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. stood for service, equality. He would kneel down with Colin Kaepernick in the NFL. He would protest with Black Lives Matter. He would fight for health care. He would fight for equal pay for women. He would believe women. And if you're not about any of those things or you're not fighting for any of those things, then keep his name out your mouth. Thanks for celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day with me on Secret Black People Meeting. We'll be right back with our special guest.
So I grew up in Seattle, and you grew up in Mississippi. My dad is from Louisiana.
That's where all my family is.
My dad's from Monroe, Louisiana. So it's I always used to say it's the top of the boot.
Yep.
Top of the boot.
It's the top of the boot.
And I remember when I would go out there in random different summers, like I noticed a complete difference in how like the white people out there were and the white people where I'm from and the black people, and like it was just because like where I grew up, there's a lot of Asians, a lot of Mexicans, a lot of black people. I was part of MAP, Minority Achievers Program at the YMCA, so I had a lot of black friends,
that's cool,
break dancers, and like so it was never. I don't like feel like I really grew up around like a lot of like racism, like people being like straight up like racist.
Yeah,
I feel like
Seattle's
because we had
like a liberal bubble.
Yeah, we had like a lot of like programs and stuff. Like I said, like I was part of MAP. But I remember when I went down.
I knew a nigga named Matt back home. We didn't have no Matt. They wouldn't let us achieve shit.
Yeah, Minority Achievers Program, and
we didn't have that.
My mentor was JJ Frank, and he's this black man who is now.
He sounded black.
He's the executive director of the YMCA. When I started there, he was just the team director. You know what I mean?
That's dope. Good for JJ.
Yeah, JJ. Shout out to JJ. But JJ was dope as fuck, and he would bring me to a lot of these different events, and I would speak, and I was giving speeches at like 11 years old, asking donors to give money to YMCA for the different programs.
That's really cool.
So it's like I think that's where like my speaking ability came from the YMCA.
Yeah.
And so, but my whole point of bringing that up is I remember when I went to Louisiana for the first time, and I have cousins, okay, and on my dad's side, and we're driving through town, and my cousin was like really young, and she goes, "Oh, that's N-wordville." She was like dead ass too. She was like, "Yeah, that's N-wordville." Like, and she's so cute and little, like did not really realize like what she was saying, or like, you know, it was just like normal to them. And that's when I like it really hit me. I was like, oh, there's still like some like big ass racism that's going on in the South.
Louisiana is really bad. I got family out there. They're the worst. Like the worst prison is in Louisiana. Like it's Angola. It's horrible. Like it literally looks like a slave camp. Like it's I think it's like 98% black in prison in Louisiana. Like Louisiana is really bad. Like the laws they catch black people on, like it's a lot of racism. So the fact that you saw that when you went down there,
well, it's just like because I think it's really interesting, like especially out here in LA, like you know we experience like racism.
It's totally different.
But it's so different, and that's why I think it's so important to like keep the message alive and like talking about Black Lives Matter and like talking about the issues, because but I think like living here in LA or living in Seattle, like you think. People just don't realize like how real it still is.
I definitely like being here in LA. You can get conditioned to like really be like, oh, it's not that bad anymore. Like it's always like there's always a culture shock going home. It's like, oh, I still can't do this here, so I'm not gonna do that. So yeah, it's really like definitely it's weird. Like I definitely act a lot different out here than I do back home because I just know what I can and can't get away with in the South. So,
like what do you mean?
Just like I don't know. I feel like my guard is down when I'm out here because I don't expect anything to happen. Whereas just like driving at night in Mississippi, a lot of times I get anxiety because like I know people that have gotten killed by the police, other people that have been taken advantage of, and all this kind of stuff. So like I kind of like my guard is like on when I'm in Mississippi, like kind of at all times. Like if I'm out in public or if I'm in an area where I know things have gone down because of like racism and stuff like that, I'm definitely like locked in and like, okay, I need to make sure I know where everything is and all this kind of stuff. Whereas out here, I just walk around like I'm a little white girl named Heather. So it's just like, you know, that's why I stay my ass out here. I don't like going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I think. It's like it's really cool that you're doing stand up, especially that you have secret Black people meetings.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I love when I'm always like promoting Channel 310, and
Yeah.
I'm like always talking about like, and we have secret Black people
The
meetings.
name, the name definitely catches people's ear. Like I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, and people love it, and especially when I explain it, like, and he interviews a different Black person every week,
Every
you
week,
know,
yeah.
and just talk about whatever he wants to talk about, and it's just like I love that show, and I love the concept of it because it's like giving a voice, and
Yeah.
like we need more stuff like that to be talking about these issues so that people become aware of
For
it.
sure.
Because I think a lot of people, you know, lack an understanding
Yeah.
and just like aren't realizing how serious these issues are.
Yeah, ignorance for sure.
Eric wanted me to bring this up, but your grandpa was a sharecropper.
Why do you want to bring this up?
He just told me to ask
Yes.
you, and I was like trying to weave that into the conversation.
there's no
like,
good
how do
transition.
I-
So your granddad used to basically be a slave for like 10 cents. Like that, there's no way you can like slide it in. But sure, let's talk about it. I'm a little drunk. Let's do it.
Thanks, Niles.
Fuck you. Yeah, my grandfather, Willie E. Apston, he is the hardest working man that I know. He's amazing. He is one of the most amazing people. He's dope. He lives in Vegas right now. He just moved from California, but yeah, he's sharecropped. But he is one of the first group of siblings of the Apstons. And so, like, small town, St. Stephen's, Alabama, you can't find it on Google Maps or anything, but that was the plot of land some slaves were working on. And so, other families inherited the land, and so the Aston family became sharecroppers. And so they had, I think they had 12 kids. And the story he always used to tell was there was 12 kids in one bike because they was broke. And so, what they would do is, some person, and they couldn't leave the street, and so they had this big gravel road, and so one kid would ride the bike from the house to the end of the street, and the other 11 would chase him to the mailbox, and then like somebody else would get on it next. And so he said like the little one, because like I mean it was anywhere from like 14 to like 4, and so like he said like the little ones didn't even know how to ride the bike yet. They just jump on it and try, and it's like I'm about to learn today, man, because I might not get this shit back. So like it was like 12 of them, and he said it was just so many kids, and so they basically had a staff. And so when she turned like 6, she was picking cotton. Yeah, 6 years old picking cotton, and he got 18. He was 18, and he was like, I'm an adult now, so he joined the military. And he moved out here to California because like, I think the base that he was on in California, he was out here. And so yeah, that's where he met my grandmother. They got married and had 3 kids, and I was a son of one of those children. So now I'm here. Like,
And your dad became a lawyer.
and my dad became a lawyer. Like it's just crazy. Like a sharecropper from Alabama moving to California because he just didn't want to be in Alabama anymore. And so like that's why like with me, like whenever I really want to just do something, if I want to make a change, I just do it. Because I'm just like, my granddad hadn't made that change. Who knows like what our family would be like? So it's just like he definitely is somebody. I'm just like, wow, like you did it. Like to get to like where he is now from where he started, I'm sure was because I mean I've heard stories where like he had 2 jobs when he was 5. He would clean this house for this like white family with money. And so like he would go clean their house and everything, and I remember like he'd have to go outside when they would pay him and stuff. Like he'd have to sit on the steps, like they wouldn't let him in the house and stuff. I remember something happened like they were like throwing rocks at him. Like he was a 5-year-old kid cleaning his family's house. Like the where he started to like where his life is now is just crazy. It's crazy. Like, you know, the things you were only allowed to do as a black person in that time. And so like now that I can just freely go around and do comedy and write and do all this stuff, like he never would have thought about being able to do. His mind probably, his whole like first 40 years of life was just like work. whereas mine's like create. And so like he's definitely somebody I think about and keep in mind when I create things and tell jokes and stuff. It's just like I want to achieve my dream so you can have something to look at and be like, if I hadn't have made that move, this wouldn't happen. You know?
Right, it's all about the legacy, and
Exactly.
I totally feel you because that's how I feel about my mom, like coming from the
From the Philippines
to get into the United States, you know.
That's
so
a long way.
anytime I feel like down on myself, like I'm out here in LA, like I'm sure you can, like you're by yourself.
Yeah.
It's like I just think about my mom, like if she could do it, I want to continue and I want to make her proud.
Yeah.
And I just want to keep chasing my dreams to get there because it's like at the end of the day, it's not about me, it's
Right.
about my family, and I have to
Right.
realize like your why, you
Right.
know. So I love that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, you know, I'm Niles, but then they're like Niles Ashton, and there's a lot of people that are attached to that name, and so you don't want to make them proud and everything. But that's something like I've seen with a lot of people with immigrant parents, like their first generation after their parents, they work like really hard. Because I think you guys definitely want to like prove to your parents like it was worth you coming to this country, you know. And so I think that's really cool. I noticed that and just how hard you work and stuff. So that's dope. Philippines is a long way.
Yes.
How long is the flight from here to?
It's like 14 hours.
Hell no.
And I was just there, so.
I flew 15 hours to China. I don't think I'll ever do that again. That was horrible.
Oh my gosh, a long flight.
Mm.
What was you doing in China?
Teaching little kids English.
Oh, you taught little kids English, little Chinese kids English. Oh my god.
Yeah. One thing that threw me off was like, so you know, like in English, like we have like pause where it's like or Theirs is nigga. And so like if you go like they'll be going like they're saying they're going nigga, and so the lady was like, yeah, we just want you to teach them a little English. I was like, lady, it look like they know enough English right now. Like I was like, they just saying nigga like over and over and over again. It took me a couple days to get used to that. Yeah, China was cool though.
And how long were you out there?
3 months both times.
Was this when you were in high school or college?
College. Yeah.
Okay, part. Yeah, I did a lot of traveling when I was in college too. I studied abroad program.
That's dope.
Semester at sea.
Yeah.
Went to 10 different countries, and then it was like a summer program in 2011.
Okay.
It was dope. I feel like traveling definitely has contributed to my stand-up career.
No, it widens your perspective. Like people say like all the time that travel is the defeater of ignorance because like a lot of things that you're either scared of or you have different opinions on is because you've never seen it or experienced it before. And so when you travel and you see those things, you'd be like, oh, I can't hate these kind of people. I'd spend a week around them. They're great, you know? Like they have kids, they do drugs, they drink just like me, you know? So it's whatever.
Well, one thing I want to end the show on is I want you to give yourself a message you'd like to say in 5 years.
5 years.
5 years, Niles. From the 23-year-old Niles to in 5 years
I'll be 28 years old.
to the 28-year-old Niles.
Damn.
What would you like to say to you? Future message.
Nigga, we better be rich. Nigga, right? I'm gonna tell you right now, nigga, like, you 28, I'm 23 right now, this shit is horrible, alright? I'm sleeping on an air mattress. 5 years from now, I better not be on no damn mattress again. I'm a whoop your ass. Nah, but for real, like, don't stop, bro. Keep going, like, you know what you need to do. You know what you wanna do, so do that shit. And make sure I'm not in the same position I'm in now, because what's today, June
24.
June 24, 2018. We in some shit right now, bro. We need some money and we need some other stuff, and you need to fix that. So, 28, we better not be in the same situation. That's all I'm gonna say.
We out here.
We out here.
So, being a host of your own show, Secret Black People Meeting, how do you think that's affected your stand-up?
Oh, it's like you said, like thinking of stuff in athletics. It's like getting reps every week, like putting together a sketch and hosting and riffing off like these funny comedians. It just makes my stand-up stronger because like yeah, you're supposed to hit mics and everything, and I do that. But like hosting my own show has like expanded kind of like what I'll take a risk on stage, and it's definitely helped my stage presence because it's just kind of like when you're a host, like you do a show, like you're working off of this person, and so it's like me working off the crowd in my stand-up, and so it's made me so much better. I think the time because we started Secret Black People Meeting like September. From September to now, like stuff is just it's gone into hyperdrive for sure.
Totally different
I feel like a completely different comedian. And then it just like it keeps me on my toes because I'm always like looking for new things and always writing new material for the show, and something usually seeps into my stand up. So yeah.
one thing I find really unique about Channel 310, the whole YouTube team here, is that every person that's a part of Channel 310 is a stand-up comedian.
Yeah, that,
You know,
that is the perfect thing about it.
So it's like, not only are we making these videos, like, at the end of the day, we are stand-up comics.
I'm
So
still-
we're performers
Still
on the
in
mic,
stages at night.
on
you
the
know?
stage, you know? And that's what I love about the team
Right.
so much. I feel like watching you guys do what you do just inspires me to work harder.
Right, same.
How'd you and Eric come up with the idea of Channel 310?
I met. This is funny. Eric smokes one damn weed. Of course, I met him at a dispensary, and I was helping host a dispensary show at the time. And Eric was the first comedian because the guy was hosting the show. He's like, "Dude, this dude smokes so much weed, bro. He needs to do the show at the dispensary." I was like, "All right, cool." Eric, whatever. I didn't know this nigga's last name. And so like me and him just really had like a cool conversation at the shop. We were talking about each other's comedy, and we ended up hanging out like a month later. I went over to his apartment. We were just chilling, and like I was just saying how like I just wish comedians worked together more. And he said he had some ideas, and he was like, you know, like if comedy worked like a rap label, you know, people would probably have more success because you know you have this label everybody's working towards the same goal, and like
Right.
everybody working together, helping with each thing. Cause like you see the Migos, like they ad-libbing on their songs, writing other songs, making songs together, making songs apart. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, dude, like we need to do that.
But like the Migos?
We like the Migos. You know
Of
what I'm saying?
comedy?
Yeah. They got their label Quality Control, and they got all these different artists under their thing. And so I was just like, that's what we need to do. And I love hip hop, and so we were just like, let's do it. And I was thinking of names, and I was like, we're in LA. LA kind of made us. Let's name it Channel 310 because that's the area code. And so me and him just started making stuff, and like now it's like we've added like all these people, and look what we're doing now. Like we're almost at 500 subscribers. In September, it was nothing. It was just an idea in our heads, and so like I'm just so thankful for Eric because he's like the only person that really kind of gets where I'm going, like I'm thinking and stuff. And so like we come up with some pretty good ideas together, and I think we got a good one with this. So you know,
Hell yeah, me too. I'm so excited.
me too. Yeah.
I love Channel 310.
This is just the start. Who knows where it's gonna be? You know.
Right? Exactly. I love you now.
I love you too, Lila. You're so very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Had me almost crying over here and shit.
I know that was so good. I loved it.
Crying, laughing. Oh god, this is a good show. Y'all better watch this. It's a good show. Small Talk with Lila Hart. Only on Channel 310. I'm a producer.
Lila, just say yes, that's it.
I'm just gonna start calling.
Didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you?
Someone on this couch.
I did.
This smell like white pussy.
Arthur, sit down really quick and just talk about it really quickly.
I'm just gonna start calling this nigga couch. This nigga live on the couch, fuck on the couch, do comedy on the couch. This nigga name was Couch, bro. What was the quarterback? Eric Couch? Was that the quarterback?
Oh yeah, Eric Couch.
Eric Couch, right here, nigga. Eric the Couch.
You really had sex on this couch, bro?
This nigga a can, a couch ass nigga, bro.
Damn right.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous.
Great, man. I'm gonna put shit in there, man.
We had a good ass day.
We had a good ass day, my
We
nigga.
went on Arthur and Lila adventure.
I know. I was watching it on Instagram.
I popped a Molly yesterday.
Sweating.
When I was fucking with the damn show, I was. Oh my god. I was touching her soul. She was looking at me like.
Surprised, like you know.
Yeah, she's like.
She had A, B, C, and D, but she thought the answer was B, but,
Mhm.
but it was D.
It was E actually, but extra long dick. Yeah.
Hamilton, the host of Lunch and Brunch.
Long dick. Ah man. I told you
Sweet,
yesterday.
sexy chocolate.
Oh.
I said
God.
I'm gonna get some pussy. Then I said, "Ooh, I might be behind these shorties. Give me some pussy." Somebody took my weed, some of my weed, but that's okay. Karma gonna get their ass. I think they was jealous because they knew I was about to close the deal. Shut your I actually wanted to talk to this other girl that was with us last night.
Okay. Small talk.
I didn't know we were still recording.
Yes, we are.
Oh,
This is the
my
end.
God.
This is closed captioning. Bye bye.
Is this the end? You got the words. It's a good mission song.
That's what I was doing last night.
Oh, goodness. let me turn on some music. I don't want to hear them.
You did?
Hey, dumbass, don't clap next to the mic.
Ah, shut up. Let me mad because I went swimming last night.